Last week, we spoke about Premier League managers. This week, we'll be doing the same. But last year, we were talking about Premier League managers over the whole Premier League era and the impact that they've had, both the good and the bad. This time, and we do this most years, and generally, in the last podcast, we were talking about managerial sackings, and this is the time. This is when it happens. The Oktoberfest of sackings occurs now. So,
let's go.
Bizarrely, you look at managers and you think, they're fine, they're safe. And actually, with 60 managers going last year, you would think that maybe, just maybe, some of these managers that you see before you in this beautiful Pyramid of Allcott's tier list might be safe for the season. But on average, there's about 9 that go, which just does seem crazy to me when you look at some of these guys. And what we're going to have to do here is work our way through the tiers. And the pyramid element is the fact that in the bottom tier, which is gone by May, we have 8 places. And we have to have 8 places. So we have to put forward 8 managers that will be gone by May. The second tier or second bottom tier is punching. So this is one of those ones where there's a bit of nuance to it, but it's basically, it's not going well, but you're hanging in there and you're kind of punching above their weight. I'm not sure I rate him as highly as he rates himself, all of those things. 6 spots for that one. I think that's where we're going to hang people the most. An old staple of JLA content, he's good. But is he good? That's 4 spots for that one. So again, we're not sure just how good these managers are. And look, let's be honest, when it comes to Premier League managers, it's generally kind of the best of the best right now. And we've got some good stats on how much money these managers have spent, because I think that's important as well. Cam, you spoke about that in the last podcast in terms of stripping away sometimes the badge, like just how good are these guys. In the second tier, we've got elite. There will be 2 spaces for that. Only 2 spaces. And then in the top spot, we will have our pound for pound champion. Now, the pound for pound element of it could ruffle feathers. And I think what we'll do is we'll sort of make our way round, put forward our ideas, and then from there we can wiggle it about and mould it into a stunning pyramid. Okay? Guys, if you haven't followed the podcast, please do. And if you haven't checked out the guys, Kweku's got a YouTube channel, go support him. Cams is bloody everywhere. And he's definitely on Twitter, I know of that. So go check him out as well. Links in the description for both the guys. Go support everyone that comes onto this podcast because they're all wonderful people. Right, so we had 20 managers, but we thought for the numbers, and we had 21 last week, we thought we'd chuck in the man, the myth. He always finds his way. Tyndall. Because good old Tyndall is, he's a main character. Will we ever see Tyndall back to the, in the hot seat once again?
Oh, start going then, big man. Like you want to be chatting the most in the background. Go and be a number one. But in all seriousness, yeah, go and be a number one. I've seen it. Like there's so many managers that have gone out there and you look at how well Steve Clarke is doing right now for Scotland in terms of he was always a number 2. Feud has been a number 2, but has gone and found the right situation for him and he's thriving. If Tyndall wants to be the guy, then go and be the guy.
He had a minute at Bournemouth, didn't work. Probably maybe the wrong club for him, or maybe he's just the perfect assistant manager. But he always makes his way into most managerial scenarios, apart from actually being a manager. So I thought we'd chuck him in here, but I reckon he's not going to be gone by May, but he's not going to be in by May either. So we'll just chuck him down there to make this a little bit easier. Right. Who would like to go first? Is anyone seeing a face there that they feel potently
Are we
angry
starting
or
by the
loving
top or
about?
bottom?
Up to you, mate. So
Let's start bottom.
Give me a face. Just give me a face that screams out
I'm
at
going to give you a face. I'm going to give you Areola.
Yes, that's a good place to start.
Yep.
So Areola, currently 9 games without a victory. He was in a solid place coming into it with a good record. But he's gone on to obviously have a few struggles right now. They've spent a lot of money as well. How are we feeling about Areola, Kweku?
Like you said, hips to lean. We were fancying him in pre-season. It's not gone well for him, and I think that juxtapose it with how Wolves are looking, and the fact that they've just lost to Wolves. They sat Gary O'Neill. I think that he's probably the next man to go. There's no wonder that he's at the top of the sack race, and I wouldn't be surprised by the time this podcast comes out if he's been sacked because it's not been right for Bournemouth. The saving grace for them is that the newly promoted teams have struggled this season. Otherwise, it could be curtains already for Bournemouth. But I expect them to be done with Iraola very, very quickly.
There's a lot of things you kind of throw at him in terms of, it's the Premier League is different. Do you buy into that? Because this is what I think is amazing with this is that it is only 9 games, but the Premier League is obviously cutthroat, and they've spent more money than a lot of the other teams, but some of those players haven't been available to him as of yet, so that doesn't help with it all. Like, what do you think the truth is with him? Like, I think we're going to struggle to get him into any of the top 2, maybe 3. Do you think it was a little bit too soon for him? Do you think he's punching, because I think it's one of the two things, right? Either you stick with him and you stick with him, or you got to be ruthless and get rid of him ASAP, and thus he will be gone by May.
I feel like a lot of the times with these type of managers is that it's not always about they're easy to sack because of how inspirational they come across, if you get what I mean. And I think he hasn't, when I look at him, yes, he's got the tactics and he has his way of trying to play and he's done well in other leagues. But it's not so much about the fact that he's here. It's about how inspirational they seem for me in like press conferences on the touchline. Do they captivate the city? You know what I mean? Does it look like the city absolutely love that manager? And sometimes they're just the easy ones to get rid of. And if it was Gary O'Neill, for example, who the whole ground love him. He seems confident in press conference. He speaks well. Then all of a sudden you think to yourself, I'm going to give him more time. But sometimes you look at some guys and you just think to yourself, is he even really want to be here? I think Wolves go through this a lot. They have a manager come in and you're like, yeah, it kind of feels like he's trying to audition himself to, I can get a better job here. Yeah, I'm just doing this to show the world, hey, I can do the Premier League thing and I'm going to move on. But I just think he hasn't really captivated the Bournemouth kind of cities. That's what I see it as.
So if we've got 8 spots for Gone by May, in terms of managers that you expect to be going right now, let's talk about Gary O'Neill. I'm going to put him next to him for a second in terms of Gone by May, which is a dangerous thing to say, especially off the back of them winning. I think what is forgotten about, Bournemouth had a player sent off. And that does make a difference in games of football, especially tight games like that. Lewis, I felt for Iraola. Also, I've read that he hasn't got his assistant manager. He hasn't got an assistant manager, which just seems odd.
Why?
I don't actually know. But that's, in the Premier League, that's going to destroy you.
But at Vallecano, things were set up perfectly for him, and he finished 11th in La Liga. Congratulations. But the Premier League is a different kettle of fish. Not only because, I don't want to sound so Premier League biased, but it's different eyeballs, different scrutiny, and you replaced a man that the fans are kind of fond of because he did a decent job.
So who is a better manager to you, Iraola or Gary O'Neill?
Do you know what? As a man who watched Bournemouth when they played against the big sides last season, I watched Wolves again when they played against big sides, but then hearing Gary O'Neill's talk about how in detail and how much information he gives to his players and how much of a tactician he actually is, and then you see the results, I don't know, the results speak for themselves. And I think that at this moment in time, I can't sit here and say that Iraola is a better manager than Gary O'Neill because he's done a better job in the jobs that he's been in.
Do you know what I would say? Gary O'Neill, and I thought, so my take on it was that Iraola seems like a really impressive manager here. And Gary O'Neill has less experience, more experience than the Premier League, but less experience overall. And again, we were talking about that in the last podcast in terms of, games. I think it's the same when it comes to managers. But that said, is the Bournemouth squad worse than the Wolves squad? I don't think the Wolves squad is miles better, if better, than the Bournemouth squad. With the money that they've spent.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money.
More proven players in the Wolves squad in terms of Premier League proven. I don't think there's a player in Bournemouth's team who's as good as Pedro Neto. I don't think that Bournemouth have got a defender as good as Max Kilman. I just think that Wolves, more established, just a better team. Maybe squads-wise, Bournemouth might be a bit
probably
deeper.
Got more depth,
I think Wolves have got a better starting 11.
Yeah. Solanke will walk into Wolves' team.
That was the other name I was thinking about there. Okay, so the important thing is, in terms of Gone by May, like we said, we've got to get 8 in this pyramid.
Yeah.
And on average, there are 9. So let's fill up that bottom run.
Let's fill it up.
Who's going? Who's going to go this year? What's going to happen?
All right. You going?
Yeah, Vincent Kompany. I don't want to say it, but Burnley have not had great results, and like you said, there've been so many managerial changes over the history of the Premier League. It suggests that if you're struggling at the bottom of the table and you spend that much money, you're probably going to lose your job.
I've got Kompany there as well. I've got.
That's a massive problem for Burnley, because the players that they've bought, they've spent money, and they're generally they're either Belgian, have played in the Belgian league, or have come from Man City, and so all of that suggests there's that intel there from Kompany. If you take Kompany out of that, whoever you bring in won't have that knowledge of those players. So, look, we've got to populate it. I get it, and I think it makes sense because it's not going well right now. But will Burnley be better off if they do sack him? Which is a different question.
Well, it depends on what Burnley's long-term goal is. If Burnley's long-term goal is to establish an identity of playing a certain type of football...
It's under a 5-year deal as well.
Yeah, but if Burnley's goal is to stay in the Premier League, then, it's probably best for them to sack Vincent Kompany to try and trigger a difference, to try and trigger a change. Because a lot of times these managers that come in, it's not necessarily the tactics that they bring in, it's just a change of the voice in the dressing room. And I think that might happen at Burnley, and Kompany might have to face the boot.
I don't totally disagree.
I think they love him.
It seems counterintuitive though. But I think you see that time and time again.
You created this period, mate. We've got to fill got to fill up the 8 spots.
Sometimes it could actually work in your favour though. We've seen it with Nigel Adkins. He got sacked from Southampton, and everyone was like, "What
are you doing?"
And then they brought in Poch. Was it not Poch yet? And it was like, okay. And the same thing with Chris Hughton. Remember when he got sacked from Brighton, and everyone was like, "What? Nah, you guys are going down anyway. How can you sack Chris Hughton?" And then was it Graham Potter? Yeah, Graham Potter that came after him, and then the rest is history. So, hey, sometimes sacking is the right thing to do. You know,
Heckingbottom for me is a tap in.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got him there.
Gone by Christmas. If he's still there come January, then that is pitiful in my opinion, because they're not really even showing any kind of like.
This is when they play against Man United
to stay in the league.
But these are all matching up to what I've got, apart from one. I think there's going to be one where we have a philosophical difference. I've got Sean Dyche in my gone by May.
Wow.
And I think that Gary O'Neill in this section is quite harsh. But I've got Sean Dyche in there.
I don't have Gary O'Neill in this.
And I've got Marco Silva in there as well. Yeah. We talked about Marco Silva in terms of he's a man that can get easily frustrated. We've seen him jump at different opportunities and attempt to jump at a different opportunity in the summer. I think the way that Fulham have run, they're not the most cohesive at board level in terms of the way Tony Khan runs that football club. I can see Marco Silva as a man who is quite ambitious and wants to earn the most money and also be at the biggest clubs. I think that relationship with Fulham can quite easily dissolve, and I can see him being gone by May.
Yeah, I've got that one as well. And obviously I've got the Luton manager as well, just because it's Luton, innit? And I expect them to be towards the end, so I'm just expecting that they will change the manager. But I haven't got Gary O'Neill there, but I've got the rest. I've got the rest there. I've got Marco Silva there as well. And do you know what? I haven't got him here in my list now, but I think a little wild card that people might also have to watch out for might be Steve Cooper.
Right.
It might be. Listen, they spent a lot. They've had a lot of new players. I think they got a little bit of a taste of it last season. That could be a good side here. He got backed again by bringing in players like Elanga and stuff. He's dealing with some really decent players. Awani. He's dealing with some really decent players, and I just think there's a possibility. There's a possibility if it goes left for like 5, 6, 7 games.
But the hierarchy at Forest have showed that they've stuck with him through difficult times. And it's not.
And I really like Steve Cooper, by the way. I really do.
And the Forest fans do as well. And I think you sort of like say David Moyes and Cooper, the two managers you could have got rid of last year, but you didn't. This is where the punching tier is an interesting one. So in terms of punching, I'm just going to populate it with a few. I think Cooper, if he is going to be as safe as he was last year, and last year doesn't mean this year. They're drawing a few games this year. I think overall they look better. They look more comfortable in the league. He's signed a lot of players. I think he's signed 49 players.
That's insane.
Which is a lot over his time as the manager. I think long term in terms of where Forest want to go, this is where the punching one, it could fall down a little bit. And we've had a lot of debate, me and Kai, about the tiers. So forgive us. We're just trying to have a bit of fun, make some decent content, okay? But in terms of punching, new ownership, Sean Dyche could be in there. That could lead to him being gone by May as well. Roy Hodgson, I think if there was a gone by June, I think I could see Hodgson having like a nice, calm season.
Yeah, send off. Nice send off at the end of the year. Clap him away.
But can he survive long term?
Well, looking at this list now,
he should retire this season. No?
We're making this like difficult for ourselves because these managers left in here have all done a bit or got a bit. But I think you've got to put Thomas Frank. I wouldn't like to put him in there, but I put him in punching as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair point. Now I think Brentford have been punching. To be fair, with the money that they've spent, it's incredible the job that they've done, and actually the injuries that they've got right now, that is a problem as well. So I think he's proven that he's a solid manager. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the funny thing with Brentford is how ugly? It's never been ugly for Brentford. Mm-hmm. No. It's for about 10 years now. It's been. Oh no! Well, I was hoping we'd go up this year. Okay, well, yeah, but you're still playing well, winning games. Thomas Frank hasn't had to deal with the opposite of that, so that makes life.
How I see it is, if these guys that are in the punching right now, if they were to, other than Sean Dyche, who always seems to find a bottom tier club, if these guys were available right now, would many teams be like just lining up for them? Not for Roy Hodgson, in my opinion. He's just got this ties to Crystal Palace now. Steve Cooper, I think he'll end up back in the Championship if he was to get. What do you think?
I think Steve Cooper gets a Premier League
like one of the lower clubs though, like very very low.
Well,
do you reckon?
Well, before he went to Forest, Crystal Palace were very interested in him, and that was the deal that was almost done. I think Steve Cooper, with his work that he did with England under-21s at youth level, I think a lot of clubs are impressed with the way that he handles players. At Forest, it's mental. He's got so many players to deal with, and the fans love him because he took it from the bottom of the Championship to the Premier League. But I think that he's a man with a lot of credit in the bank, and him and Thomas Frank, in terms of the punching levels, would get jobs elsewhere in the Premier League.
He's getting there. He's certainly getting there with the squad, with the amount of that. Yes, there's been a lot of players, but you also kind of know what he's trying to do now. The ceiling of what he wants to do, like how far and how long will that allow him to be Forest manager? It'd be interesting to see how Forest fans' expectations change as they become more and more comfortable in the Premier League. So this punching in good, but is he good tier is so hard because if you look at the bottom rung here now, we've got Klopp, Pep, Arteta, David Moyes. I'm going to pop David Moyes in. He's good, but is he good?
Yeah, I've got him there as well.
I'm also going to pop in Ten Hag.
I've got him there as well.
Now, we'll come back to Ten Hag.
What are you got him as? Punching?
I had gone by May. But we'll talk about it. We'll
get there. Now, and pound for pound, we'll decide at the end. I think Pep obviously is going to be an elite manager. We have problems now, right? So there's a couple of problems.
Okay.
And I don't know how you want to tackle these. We're going to take it bit by bit. Okay. So how many? Look, gone by May, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need one more down there. We need a couple more in punching. Now, let's talk about Erik Ten Hag. So there's only space for 2 elite managers. And of course, you've got a pound for pound. So I would suggest, and what I'm intrigued to know is, if we're thinking about pound for pound along the way, Klopp
goes to elite.
Is Arteta in elite? And if those are your 3, then we're okay moving forward, and then we decide on our pound for pound. And when we get to pound for pound, I'll talk about the amount of money spent on transfers, right? But in terms of the elite nominees for elite managers right now, down the bottom, you have De Zerbi, Eddie Howe, Unai Emery, Postecoglou, and Pochettino.
You put Emery in there. Bring your medals and put them on the table.
Agree.
Bring your medals and put them on the table.
Fully agree.
I love Pochettino, but Emery's got the medals that he got in France. But then Emery's also got 4 Europa Leagues.
I'm dropping Arteta down to good, but is he good? Because listen, at the end of the day, with all due respect, he's doing a good job, but he's just had a title race. That's it. You know what I mean? He's had a title, okay, won the FA Cup in the beginning, but are we now just a bit overrating the situation because, he's challenged? Yes, we get you challenged and he could go again. Then you become an elite manager. But at the end of the day, as you mentioned, trophies on the table. If we're looking at CV, Unai Emery's got a CV, and if you're looking at what he's doing at Aston Villa at the moment, I think there are 11 wins at home in a row. He's doing a good job there. So we have to just be realistic. I think sometimes, again, which I was mentioning in the last episode, the badge. Yeah, he's doing it at Arsenal, title race with Arsenal, he must be elite. No. Why are you better than Unai Emery? What have you done? Why are you better than Ange?
I'll play.
Why are you better than Emery?
Go for it.
I'll play devil's advocate. Arsenal fans will be like, we've seen both managers at our club, and we can clearly tell you that one is tactically better than the other, and they will be firmly in the Arteta camp. I disagree with that, but if you're an Arsenal fan, that's what you'd argue.
Because so let's take a moment now, because I did tweet and asked, what are the pillars of a good manager? Because you're right, there's two sides to this. Medals on the table, Emery wins that. Emery supposedly, failed ultimately at Arsenal. And Arteta is not failing. If anything, he's thriving. Pochettino has won a couple of trophies at PSG, but aside from that, is managing a big six club, has managed a big, whatever you want to call it, club in Tottenham, and hasn't won any of those trophies. Neil Warnock has been promoted time and time again. Tyndall's been promoted. But that doesn't... Sometimes there's a ceiling to a manager as well, that you would never consider them for a certain job. And I would suggest, I'm not saying this is true or not, I think it's something to explore, will Unai Emery ever get one of those jobs again?
I think he can do a remontada with Aston Villa potentially and get another job. I actually think he can. And I think you look at what he did at Arsenal. Yes, okay, some of the football is frustrating. And but the first season they finished 5th and he got to the Europa League final. The next season he got sacked midway through it. But can these people remember that Arteta was given the opportunity to basically fail as well, like Unai Emery was doing? He got given a longer period. And Emery just come out and said it recently. He said, everything Arteta's doing, I wanted to do, but I just wasn't given the time. And we got to remember, context is everything. The manager that takes over the figurehead is always got less time, and it's always going to be a problem. We saw it at Man United. Listen, Arsenal and Man United were unique cases, yeah? Managers that were in charge for 20 plus years. Unai Emery took over that. Yeah, took over the players that played under Wenger as well for such a long period as well. It was difficult for him. Arteta actually had a much easier job picking up, that failure over there. I'm going to transform it my way. And I always used to say, LVG had the easiest job of any manager for Man United. What, picking up David Moyes' slack? You are in the best position because they're going to get rid of Rio and all these men are going to be gone now. You got the best one, and he failed as well. Arteta isn't failing, but the manager after the manager, I think, has the best job. So I think Emery deserves a little bit of cut him some slack for that Arsenal one, man. For me,
okay. And also Arteta benefited from lockdown, and so Arsenal during lockdown weren't playing great football, utilising the dregs of Aubameyang, utilising like the dregs of the players they had in there to win an FA Cup, to beat an FA Cup, and that bought him time, and that's fair enough. You win a trophy. But putting him on the same level as Unai Emery, I think is a little bit disrespectful to a man who, would we ever be surprised in 2 years' time on a mad one, Real Madrid are like, Unai Emery's our new manager? We wouldn't be. So that tells you that guy can still do a job.
If Arteta goes and wins 4 Europa Leagues, do you know how we'll be talking about this man right now? They'll be talking about like he's a god or something. Do you know what I mean? Like 4 Europa, like let's be honest, like what we just said, he didn't work out at Arsenal. No, you said it, sorry. He didn't work at Arsenal, so maybe Arsenal fans can say, but on the way to the final for Villarreal to win the Europa League, who did they beat in the semis?
You, man.
No, they beat us in the final. Who did they beat in the semis?
Yeah.
Arsenal, mate. Do you know what I mean? Beat Arsenal.
Yeah.
Arteta's European record is not good. It's not good. He's had seasons in Europa. Even we did. We even with Ten Hag, we went straight to the semi-finals as well. So he's had seasons in Europa. He's had season Champions League, his first one in Champions League. He's lost the game against Lens. Let's see. I feel like let's see. Let's relax a little bit.
So yeah, as I say, I asked you guys about pillars of a good manager, because one thing I think with Arteta as well, a question to think about: who will when their careers are both over, who will be higher up on an all-time list? Those two. Just think about it for a second. All right. Right. So we return to said tier list. I mean, I'm going to go with the majority with this. So Unai Emery, you want Unai Emery?
Do we have to have 2 in there?
I tell you what.
Do we have to have 2?
Yes, we do. It's a pyramid. Egg.
Oh yeah. True.
So Pochettino, I'm going to put him here. He's good, but is he good?
Yeah, I got him there too.
I think he is probably good, but these tiers are ruthless. Okay.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe, let's put them all here and we can then wiggle them about. De Zerbi, Big Ange. Now, Can I just chuck something out there?
Go on.
I think there's two managers that we need to talk about who could be gone by May that are currently in the... Or three, actually. Actually, four in the good but is he good. There are 4 managers there that could be gone by May.
What?
Well, 4 managers in that tier. So, okay.
So David Moyes, who's had a good start.
Yeah.
But I think as much as he gains us a boost of credit with the trophy, I know West Ham fans, a lot of West Ham fans aren't sure on him.
Can I just speak on this really quickly because it's sending me absolutely insane. My boy Jamie Boy, so I know we're listening to this.
Cool.
He's one of the few West Ham fans. Pardon?
Is he an out or an in?
No, he's a Moyes in. Let's not get it twisted. David Moyes came into firefight at West Ham and the fans weren't having it. He ended up finishing 6th and then 7th and then winning the European trophy. In West Ham fans' lifetime, who are our age, have they ever seen anything better? Forget Man United, forget Real Sociedad. Everton were finishing 4th.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Let's put some respect on David Moyes' name, please. Let's please put some respect on David Moyes' name because as a manager, his record in the Premier League is impeccable. That one season at Man United where they finished
Sunderland.
7th. Okay.
But didn't he keep up West Ham as well? He kept up West Ham at one point as well, innit? So
2 spells at West Ham.
Yeah.
The turmoil at board level, the ownership group would run the ground into the club or the club into the ground, and he got them to win a European trophy.
Hasn't it been Europe every season? Back 3 years in a row, Europe.
I mean, if he gets him in again,
West Ham.
Wow. I mean, he's brought in, and actually, Declan Rice goes, brings in some good players. I mean, the style of football's not wonderful, but it's functional. But I think if it goes wrong, there could be an element of it turning there. And although they're great on the counter attack, I still don't think they have a. I mean, maybe Kudus could be it. They need Antonio is so important to them. Yeah. It's so important to them.
He needs to get a better striker though, man.
But actually, he's one of those where like aesthetically you don't see it, but like he'll lay it off, then run in the channel. You'll put the ball in the channel. How many players will do that or can do that? There's very few.
There's certain strikers that are not beholden to numbers. Ollie Watkins is perfect for Unai Emery at Aston Villa, and Mikel Antonio is absolutely perfect for West Ham. There's certain players that they're just.
I still feel they just need someone that can get them goals, man. Like, yeah, I like his work rate and his battling. But how long are we going to run this gimmick now? You know what
I mean? All right. So look, Eddie Howe, I think is close to the elite tier. Okay, I think he's worth a discussion there. Are we absolutely certain, knowing what we do, which is that 8 or we're going to have essentially 7 because we're not really counting Tinder, are we? 7 managers will lose their job in the Premier League this year. Are you telling me that Ten Hag and De Zerbi less so, and De Zerbi it could be a jump upwards, it could be a jump to a huge club, and if a manager across Europe loses their manager, are you telling me De Zerbi's not one of those kind of managers that you try and pinch like people pinch Potter?
I think De Zerbi's going to be up on a lot of clubs' lists for who their next manager would be. I think De Zerbi has his moments, has his naive moments and stuff. But listen, we're in 2023. 90% of people rating a manager just the way their style of play looks. Do you know what I mean?
Do you consider him an elite manager?
I think no, I don't consider him elite. No, I don't. But I think he could get there maybe one day. Again, a lot of these things, you have to prove it. And the term elite, I still think there's only 2 elite managers in the Prem, but we got the pyramid going on, so I got to do it. But no, he's not elite yet.
Okay. So, and then Ten Hag.
This is the
Ten Hag, because Ten Hag, I think today, I would think it would be a fair thing to say that Ten Hag, you could put an argument for him to be certainly punching, and you could also suggest that he's in trouble.
If McTominay doesn't give Man United life, the international break is looking very different. It's looking very.
I thought you were going moving forward.
No. But like in terms of the 2 goals McTominay scored for the international break that salvaged 3 points.
And Delo, you're right back with a screamer.
You're relying on individuals that nobody had previously rated to save your situation. Yeah. If Ten Hag's not gone by May, he's done a great job of turning it around.
I think if you stick with what we're looking at here, which is the fact that, and look again, might be wrong, could be 5 managers this year, and especially if you want to get Gary O'Neill out of this, we need to make some movements here. I would not be surprised if Ten Hag is out of a job by May.
Wow.
Is that outrageous?
It's not outrageous.
No, it's not outrageous.
I said on my podcast, I said he could be gone by January.
Because we've seen as well, he's got a horrible month. You could get knocked out of the Champions League group, not even in the Europa League. We've got some tough games coming up.
Copenhagen
Manchester
on
Derby this
Tuesday.
week.
Copenhagen, Manchester. Oh yeah.
It will have, so Copenhagen will have already happened.
Okay.
So hopefully they've won that one.
Yeah, and then you got Manchester City again. If that turns into a 3-4-0 kind of game, then all of a sudden it does change
Chelsea on the
everything.
horizon,
You know what I
Liverpool on
mean?
the
So
horizon.
it is very concerning. To be honest, like because I have to go to with what I said before on a podcast, I did say he could potentially be gone by January, and this is when the form was terrible. So gone by May, I would put him probably between punching and gone by May, unfortunately.
Ange. Now, we can only get 4 in here, and look, we've got too many in Elite, right? So in the Elite, we can have 3. We've currently got Klopp.
Oh, we can have 3?
You can have 3 because one will go up to pound for pound. So you've got Pep, Klopp, Arteta, Emery, and Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe drops down for me.
Eddie Howe drops down for you.
Yeah, Eddie Howe, he's good. He's good. We'll just keep it there. Good.
Okay.
Are
you? I think you're
Arteta?
You're suggesting Arteta, aren't you? He's good, but is he good?
No, okay. I agree. Why do we put Arteta above Pochettino? Did Pochettino not finish in the top
fully
in
agree.
the top 2 in the Premier League?
And got to the Champions League
got to
final.
the Champions League final. What's Arteta done?
I fully
He's won
agree.
FA Cup, but what's he done more than Pochettino?
Pochettino's won a league title in France as well. So I fully agree. This is what I'm saying. Look, Ange won trophies in Scotland. I know that sounds funny, but he did.
That's
I mean, like, at the end of the day, so we can't really just... If you ain't got the trophy, you've got one FA Cup to your name and a title race, but you also have 8th, and 5th.
He's spitting, man. He's spitting.
Can we just now, because of a title race and
let's
the
wait
FA
and
Cup
see.
in
Let's just wait
the
and see.
lockdown, say you're an elite manager?
No.
Well,
Alright.
you can't say that yet.
Okay, let's find out. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, guys. Let's go round and we'll make a move each. I'll go first. That has to happen.
Okay, cool. My move would be...
Sorry, this is a podcast. David Moyes has just been moved from good but is he good to punching, which I don't feel very comfortable about. But I think with the other managers that are there... Oh, sorry, I'm just going to have to do this. We're going to have to discuss it. Would you suggest that Ange is possibly punching right now? They are running hot. I know that everyone loves him. He's had a great career. He is doing brilliantly. He is doing brilliantly. But is he running hot?
No, let's go to Sharky's pillars. Adaptability. Bentancur was their best centre midfielder last season. He ain't played this year. Like these aren't the horses that Ange will have at the final iteration of his Spurs side, and he's got them top of the league after a quarter of the season. Let's give him some credit.
But
man.
by definition of punching, that is punching because Spurs will not probably win the league. They will not win the league. So that is kind of top of the league. Now, listen, if Spurs were third, it's having a different discussion. They are top of the league, above Manchester City. That is punching.
Yeah, but I don't want to...
Technically, that is punching.
So I think what you have to decide on here is what's the truth. Is the truth that he is so elite that Tottenham will carry on, or a bit like De Zerbi, who's on a tricky run right now. But I think if we'd have done this 4 weeks ago, we'd be going... He's above someone like Unai Emery, who'd been in a patchy sort of run of form.
Yeah, okay. You lot can argue the Ange thing because I don't want to put my stocks in that one. My swap, please, James, can I swap Gary O'Neill for Sean Dyche, please? Just put some respect on a man who's doing a decent job.
Do you know what I will allow? The fact that new ownership, that means a new man sometimes, and
Dyche.
also Everton sack managers.
That's true.
Simple as that. So I'm okay with it. I do think there's an element of recency bias with Gary O'Neill, and Wolves can be quite cutthroat.
Yeah,
I can't lie. I had Wolves as going down this year. So technically, by that definition, I have to actually have
You're gonna pop
Gary
him back
O'Neill
in?
in punching.
Yeah,
I have to have him in
punching. Okay,
punching.
all right, so
Because
yeah.
like they're not going down this year. I
think
thought they were going
for him to
they're
get
not.
that job, and he might be able to confirm that he is good enough. But I think punching is actually a fair spot for him.
But then again, this is the thing though.
Tough tears.
This is the thing though. This is the thing. Why is De Zerbi above Ange? We have seen a full season of De Zerbi in the league. and he finished in the Europa League spots. Right now, they've not actually started the season that badly. I think they got 16 points.
Here's a question: whose stock is higher in 2 years' time? Can I? I actually think it's Ange. Yeah, I think it's Ange. I think De Zerbi might explode.
I think that's what I think as well. I don't know.
I think he'll go somewhere else and explode.
I'm putting De Zerbi in punching.
Yeah, and then Ange,
I'm putting De Zerbi in punching.
But is he? Because that's genuinely that's what we're asking about Ange right now. I think De Zerbi we kind of know what, but Ange we're asking he's good, but how good is he?
Yeah, he's kind of scaring everyone. He's got the league on notice right now. You know what I mean?
Exactly. He's
That's
got the
the
league
thing.
on notice.
I think people this is why the Pyramids of Allcott is good, because people are gonna scream at this. It's just a bit of fun. Right, we have one. So are we happy with our and Ten Hag gone by May? Cams, you want to fight for that?
I forgot about that. Club. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You felt more passionate about Gary O'Neill.
It's such a tough one.
Doesn't feel good, does it?
No, it's a tough one, you know. Thomas Frank above Ten Hag.
Do you know what Ten Hag, if he goes...
That's not sitting down well with me, man.
Ten Hag, right?
That's
it feels
not
a bit
sitting well
like,
with me.
You know, once the moment comes that they can't qualify for the Champions League...
They will sack him, yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a tough time for Ten Hag, but I think he's going to have to stay down.
Can't we just create like a little one between punching and gone by me?
The only thing I'll offer you...
Is Roy Hodgson.
It's Hodgson. It's Hodgson or Cooper and they go on a bad run. I don't think Frank gets the sack.
Nah, they're too invested in Frank at Brentford. Everything that club he's built.
Oh, we got to put Gary O'Neill then.
No,
we got to swap Ten Hag with Gary O'Neill. We've got to.
No way. I'm not having it. I'm not doing
Roy Hodgson's doing a good job. I think he's going to be fine. Steve Cooper, I agree. Thomas Frank, there's something scaring me about Thomas Frank at the moment. I'm not so sure it is. But Gary O'Neill, I can't. No, sorry. This may be elitist by name or what, but Gary O'Neill cannot be above Ten Hag. I'm sorry. He just can't. He just can't. This is crazy. Nah, he just can't.
It's very close.
I think we've got it all right, man. I think we've got it all right.
Yeah, of course you do.
I think we've got it all right.
Put Poch down there too. Yeah.
Swap Gary O'Neill for Roy Hodgson. Roy Hodgson, we can all agree, great manager. No, you just said yourself he's going to sail off into sunset in May. So,
sure. Look. Okay,
that's
in terms of performance, Ten Hag deserves to be down there.
Oh my God.
I'll take it.
He does.
I'll take it.
In terms of pound for pound, what you've got and where you should be and the money you've spent, the club you are.
Guys.
He's had long enough. He should have either cleared the deck so that it was clear where he was going. I'm not sure where he's going.
But guys, do you guys know Man United are 1 point behind Newcastle? You guys didn't know that, did you?
1 point, but
it seems worse than it might be, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you've also,
we're only 1 point behind Newcastle.
That's wild.
Who are sick? Yeah, they've got 16 points. We got 15 points.
I mean, that's very good.
Yeah, that's a fair point. All right, man. I'll let you guys have the final decision on that because we're going to be switching Erik Ten Hag's bald head up and down this pyramid.
Gary
O'Neill for me has got to slide down. Just
if I was a
Wolves
betting
are
man,
an inspiring club.
If I was a betting man, I would expect. I think Gary O'Neill was more likely to get the sack than Ten Hag.
All right. I'll roll with it.
Before May.
Gary O'Neill,
bring me back after the City game. Yeah. Let's see what happens then. You know what I mean? Let's see what happens.
Gary O'Neill, if you're listening to this, I'm riding out for you, man.
I love Gary O'Neill, man, but it's tough, man.
Pound for pound.
Here we go.
It's easy.
When it comes to pound for pound, one thing you could do, you could take anyone from here. So Thomas Frank. Pound for pound?
No way.
It's an option, right?
Way.
But okay, if we're moving, one obvious move would be one of those three elite managers.
Okay, so producer, like you were discussing how you're going to do this. If we're going by the definition of pound for pound,
yes,
Pep Guardiola's always had the keys to the Ferrari. No. He's driven them over the line first in the majority of occasions. I think in his whole career, Pep Guardiola's managed 14 full seasons. He won a league title in 11 of them. The teams that he has managed are Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Manchester City. I'm sorry. Jurgen Klopp came into a Liverpool team. When I was in school, like Liverpool obviously had history, but if you're a Liverpool fan, you couldn't chat to the Chelsea fans, you couldn't chat to Man United fans, you couldn't chat to the Arsenal fans because all you had was Istanbul. Jurgen Klopp has come in and changed the whole culture. They're in cup finals every single season, competing for the biggest trophies on a budget that is a fraction of that of Man City.
I'm not having this.
I think it's fair to say Unai Emery is chilling in the league. We're not popping him. So it's down to Klopp and Guardiola.
Guardiola.
Let's give you some stats.
Okay, go on then.
So time in charge, Jurgen Klopp, 8 years, 16 days at the time of recording. 443 matches. Points per match, 2.06. Total players signed, 37. Which is not that many. Total cost, 813 million. Average spend per player, 21.9 million. Pep Guardiola, time in charge, 7 years, 3 months, 427 matches, points per match, 2.33. Total players signed, 51. Total cost, 1.28 billion. Average spend per player, 25 million. So around 3 million more per player and more players. And if we are chucking Thomas Frank in there, average spend per player, 4.6 million. Which we're probably not doing.
Listen. Whatever people create definitions to bring down greatness sometimes. That's what happens, right? Pep Guardiola, he's the greatest coach of all time. I think the greatest manager is Ferguson. But coaching on the pitch is Pep Guardiola. Everything that Sharky put as a definition, plus signings, I'm going to add on again, Guardiola has got. You know what I mean? He's the most captivating manager in the league. He's captured the city. He's box office in the press conferences. He's tactically the best manager in the Prem. His management is excellent. His signings always hit the point. And player development, wow. Everyone that Pep Guardiola pretty much touches improves their output and become winners pretty much. So we're not even he should even be on this list. It should be the rest. It should be the rest of the 19 managers, and that's it. Pep Guardiola is levels. He's the best. Yeah. We have to accept this. Everything that everyone is doing in this era is because of this man, because of Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola is the trendsetter. You follow his trends. So, I mean, Klopp is elite. He's an elite manager, but sorry, Pep Guardiola stands alone in this era of football, man. He stands alone. No, what you're trying to tell me about Ferraris.
But I think it's an important element. It's an important element. Of course, everything that you've said, I get it. But it's a disappointing thing to have not experienced him dealing with what he's got, not being able to kind of pick it piece by piece. And you would, as much as the standards are there, he has reached those standards as well. Like, you would expect them to be right up there. Two questions. First of all, in terms of, say, market value of your squad, in terms of a pound for pound idea here, I think Eddie Howe's being slept on a little bit here because they brought in a lot of quality, but the recruitment has been spot on. But the overall squad market value gets dragged down by. And I'm not saying these are bad players. I'm saying their market value initially, certainly when Eddie Howe was there, Longstaff, Murphy, Almiron, all these guys. And again, I did a video the other day, and we were talking. I was saying, well, what point do we stop kind of listing those names because they are now Champions League bona fide quality players? And Kieran, who was Champions, didn't totally know where to sit on that one, and that's difficult. But that comes because I then said, how much is he adding? Is Eddie Howe adding? And it's an enormous amount. So in terms of getting the squeeze out of the players that you've got, Eddie Howe is squeezing hard.
Yeah, he is. And he is. And
he is.
I'll give Eddie Howe all the plaudits. When he took over Newcastle, it wasn't a great job in terms of where they were at in the league. They were in the relegation zone. He's turned it around. They're a Champions League side. We can't put him in any higher tier. We can't put him in the elite and take off Unai Emery or Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola. Good, but is he good? He's with his contemporaries. He's with Mauricio Pochettino, who I think he can maybe chat to. He's with Mikel Arteta, who we've put him there because he's managing a team that's in the title race. And Postecoglou maybe is there generously. So I think that despite the fact Eddie Howe's done a great job, he's not an elite manager just yet. He hasn't won anything.
I think, that's how I put it as well. I think all the managers that are in good, but are they good? They can by the end of the season, win a few trophies or whatever, and all of a sudden we're having a massive, a completely different conversation. I think Eddie Howe is doing a great job with what he's purchased, especially because everyone thought, oh, who's the marquee guy that's going to come in? And he's like, no, I'm going to do but I'm going to do it this way. So I massively admire that. But I always say, you know, when it comes to like the situation with Pep Guardiola and like Klopp and stuff, some managers prefer to work in certain ways. You know what I mean? Like, is there a guarantee that if you gave Klopp more money, all of a sudden he's going to sign better players, or he's going to be... It's all about who Pep Guardiola signs as well with that money. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people talk about, you know, Ferguson, he got it done with Fletcher's, and he wanted to do that with them guys. That's how his management was. He wants the Warriors of Fletcher and Gibson and O'Shea's and West Brom. He wants that. And I think Klopp is the same. He wants Henderson. He wants these type of people. Like, Pep Guardiola, he likes the artists and, technical ability and stuff. It's just different. So when people kind of like feel sorry for Klopp because he's got these type of players, bro, he likes these guys. Those are who he wants. Those are his Warriors, Robertsons and that. Those are his men.
But,
like,
many
would he sign Alphonso Davies just because he's got more money? No, he likes.
I think he would. I think he would like to have Alphonso Davies. In terms of, because I think the thing with Klopp, you don't go, no, I'm happy with Joe Gomez. I don't want Guardiola. You don't do that.
Okay.
That's the argument when it comes to Klopp here, right? About 3 million less players bought too over a longer period has been the main challenger to Man City. And in terms of being able to, in terms of ingredients, having the best in class, how many players has Klopp been able to buy that are best, are best in class?
Yeah.
So for that, you talk about, and again, look, Guardiola's did we know Rodri was going to be Rodri?
That's what I'm going to say.
I don't know. But Guardiola, Haaland, Grealish, that's like, I mean, you can say what you want about Grealish, but Grealish costs £100 million. It's a lot of money, right?
Yeah. But
when's Klopp done that? Klopp's not had that to work with.
Yeah, he's
and
not.
Is still challenged.
And also, let's look at
the
structure that Man City have set up. They won the Premier League title in 2012 under Mancini. They then won the Premier League title in 2014 under Pellegrini, a different manager with a different style. And then Pep Guardiola comes in 2016 and dominate football. Where were Liverpool when Jurgen Klopp came in? On their knees after sacking Brendan Rodgers about 2 months into the season. And he has transformed them into perennial title challengers. One of the best teams in Europe. How many Champions League finals have they been in since he's been the manager? Three? Like, how many title races?
It could be so different. And if you list all those players that Liverpool have had, right? And gone long-term success and work your way through them. Loads.
One miss.
For Guardiola, and this is dangerous, I know. And look, this is dangerous, but De Bruyne was already there.
Yeah.
Company was already there.
Sterling.
Silva's already there. Was Edison already there?
No.
He brought Edison in.
Sterling was there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players already there.
Yaya Toure. Look, I get it.
Look at the amazing names. They've got statues.
I get it. Listen, I was on this side of the fence once upon a time. But I think this is the same thing people done with Ferguson and Wenger. The winners seem to be downplayed in these discussions. We have to respect the winner. The winners, the challenger always seems to get this kind of leeway. Like, Wenger didn't spend as much as Fergie. So really and truly, like, who's the... But you got to respect the winner. When we look back at this era, when we look back in 10 years, we're going to be talking about Pep. We're going to talk about Pep, and we're going to say, Klopp was a nice little running mate. But we're going to talk about Guardiola.
You did. Okay,
you know what I mean? That's what we're going to do. This is what do you mean you've got me? No, you ain't got me nothing.
Because we're dealing with hypotheticals, yeah?
Yeah.
We can appreciate.
Oh yeah.
We can appreciate Pep Guardiola when it's all said and done. And in 10 years after he's left Man City, they haven't won league titles. I suspect that Man City are going to carry on winning titles. The reason why Fergie is now deified right now is because Manchester United have been in the mud ever since he left. If Man United had carried on winning league titles, Fergie's legacy is a little bit dimmed. We'll see what Man City do post Pep Guardiola. I suspect they're probably going to still win titles because they were doing it before he came. And they'll probably do it after he came.
Will they dominate though? This domination hasn't been seen other than Ferguson. This domination, they will not dominate like this.
Okay.
Manchester City, they will in the next 10 years, if without Pep Guardiola, I think they can win like 4 out of 10 leagues.
Yeah.
They are not. If Pep Guardiola stays for the next 10 years, they'll win 8 of the next 10.
Okay, but cool.
I'm telling you.
But 4 out of the next 10 is a stupid amount of league titles. Man United have not won a title for 10 years. Liverpool didn't win a title for 30 years. Arsenal are 20 years into it. If Man City going to win 4 out of the next 10, I'm not looking at Pep Guardiola as being the GOAT. I'm just not.
So, okay. So keep listening, guys, because I've got one final question here.
So they have to miss you.
Because we have to obviously make a decision here. One thing I think is important to say is Akanji was cheap, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of these in recent years. The new guys that have come in, aside from Guardiola, Haaland was a good deal. But again, you know how much.
There was a lot that went into that.
There's a lot of change. That Doku, like, why hasn't someone else bought Doku?
Nathan Ake.
It's hard. I think it's still just about Guardiola. But this is the question that I think is really important here. The debate between Klopp and Pep. You agree with me, right, Pep? Top.
Yes.
No, I do agree.
No, you don't agree.
No. Content here, Cam. You don't debate.
No, he doesn't want
I know, but I do actually agree that as Pep. But if someone wants to argue Klopp, I'll be like, fair enough, man.
Because I think, look, Klopp's had 2 tough seasons, right, where it's not gone well, right? And one was like he gave too much loyalty maybe to the team, didn't make changes quick enough. And the other year was, big injuries, right?
Yeah.
The question I want to ask is this debate 2 years ago when Liverpool were 2 weeks from doing a quadruple. I remember us talking about going, it's Klopp, isn't it? Klopp's won. Klopp's won the debate. And obviously since then Pep's gone. Is it over? Is the conversation over?
It's over.
So that can Klopp say they win it this year? Because I think he's building something quite exciting still there in terms of this new Liverpool that we're seeing here. Lots of answers. Yeah, can Klopp claw it back and get back alongside Pep?
No.
Yes, he can.
No.
Yes, he can. Okay, do you know why he can? Because
it's over. You're saying
league title, I believe in equality in life. But when it comes to league titles, there is no equality. Some league titles mean more. Mo Salah could not win another trophy in his whole career, and that one league title he's got at Liverpool means more than the 3 Man City players got. It just does, because when you play or you manage Liverpool, Man United, or Arsenal, the trophies mean more. This comes from a Chelsea fan. It means more. Man City won.
What do you mean by it means more?
Man City won the treble a few months ago.
You mean it's harder?
It just it's more embedded with the culture of this country. Therefore, it makes it harder to win those league titles. Right. Hence why Man United are in a drought. Hence why Arsenal went on a drought. Hence why Liverpool went on a drought. Because when those teams are not performing, you've got Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, Gary Neville in the media talking about it. You've got Alan Hansen, you've got Mark Lawrence in the media talking about it. It makes it difficult.
I get your
so
point,
when you bring a league title to those clubs, Man City won the treble. 3 days later, nobody cared. Nobody cared.
That's because they're our official club, mate. You know what I mean?
And that's it. When you're doing a club that's embedded, I'm a Chelsea fan, and I'm not putting us in this conversation. When you come from a club like Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool, it means more. And when you do it there, it's harder to do.
But
it's harder.
Yeah,
to do.
But listen,
it's harder to do.
But we're also listen. Are we not talking about their whole careers? Are we? You're just talking about the Premier League, what they've done in the Premier League. The same thing can be said about same thing can be said about Barcelona, though. Yeah, I mean they're embedded into football history, and he dominated. He rewrit history at Barcelona. Yeah, I mean, and at Man City, the thing that I'm saying is that this era is going to be remembered for Pep, and we're going to see the effect of it when Pep leaves. Do you know what I mean? We're going to see. No matter what you think about Man City, it's going to be a different city. You know, Klopp has a relegation to his name.
Yeah, of course, of course. Cool. But the thing is, the difference between the two men. Klopp played for Mainz and then managed Mainz. Pep Guardiola played for Barcelona and managed Barcelona and managed. It's different.
You're saying he's a silver spoon child, basically.
Silver spoon child. And when I'm looking at it and I'm giving credit out and dishing out and distributing credit, I'm looking at Jurgen Klopp's not just Premier League history, but what he did at Mainz and then what he did at Borussia Dortmund. It's a procession for league titles. Borussia Dortmund not like one league title since Jurgen Klopp left that club, and he won 2. And we know what Germany's like. And in England, Liverpool had never won a Premier League and they hadn't won a title for 30 years. And Jurgen Klopp wins the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Champions League, the League Cup. He does it all at a club that we were laughing at a couple of years prior.
Do you think that's more impressive than a treble, than 100 points, than a formidables, than a demo treble, the domestic treble as well? Do you think these things are more what Klopp's done is more impressive than what Pep Guardiola's done?
Loris Karius was playing in the Champions League final.
Wait. Do you think what Klopp has done is more impressive than what Pep has done at Man City?
on the record, cumulatively, yeah, in terms of
It's just so different,
achievements,
isn't it? It's like Pep's playing jazz and Klopp's playing heavy metal.
Yes.
So with Pep, if you give him a electric guitar, he'll go, "What? I don't want that. I want,
analogy.
I want the instruments you need for jazz." I think that's the thing. I think that's that's the problem. That if you'd love to go and see him at that, unfortunately, football's moved on from that, and his brain doesn't know how to work with those kind of players. I think you've seen that before with great players that start a little bit deeper in the football pyramid and can't do it because the players can't do what they want them to do. And so Guardiola's not really ever seemed to have had an interest, because I think instead of dropping down and dragging up, he actually wants to go into the future. And that's why he's pound for pound, because what Klopp is now doing in terms of his changes and the control, it's in his identity, but he is looking to, he's conceded that we need to be able to control a game of football now here.
Yeah.
We need to move towards your football, Pep. And so although it is like Michelin star ingredients with Pep, it's an incredible meal he's making every single year. And it's a new meal every year as well.
And just to show why he's the pound for pound, why he deserves to be sitting at the top, look at the league, yeah? Look at the league. Arteta, who we're trying to say should be elite, he was Pep's number 2. Pep got De Zerbi, that's his idol, Pep. Ten Hag, you were the coach for Pep Guardiola. Vincent Kompany, you learned everything you know off Pep Guardiola.
Two of them might get sacked. But
it just shows the influence and what he's done. I bet you if you speak to Aurelia, he'll say at the same time, he'll say Pep Guardiola as well. I mean, he's just revolutionized the game, man.
I've talked about it.
By the way, I don't actually like how he's revolutionized the game. That's a whole different discussion.
That'll
be another episode.
That's a different discussion. That's what I'm coming off of as well.
Yeah.
I like football's a human sport that exists in the grey area. Pep Guardiola has eliminated that grey area,
I hate it.
and it's now football perfection. And great, that is the best. But I know that in terms of these title-winning sides, 1920 Liverpool before lockdown was one of the most enjoyable, one of the most human, and one of the greatest Premier League sides that I've ever seen. And I've enjoyed watching them play football way more than any Pep Guardiola Man City side.
Yeah, I like the Man City 17, 18 and 18, 19. Since then, I'm in agreement with you as well. Look, I guess I would rather play, by the way, I'd rather play for Klopp than Pep.
Yes,
You know
with all of us.
I'd rather watch it, to be honest.
But yeah.
Okay.
It is what it is.
Right, guys, we got there. You have yourself a pyramid right in front of you. I'm not happy with a few of these. You're probably not happy with a few of these as well. So let us know in the comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube. And if not, then just, tweet me. And screenshot, what we'll do is we'll put the link to this tier list in the description. And whilst you're subscribing to Kweku's channel and you're following Cams, you can then put together your list and you can screenshot it to me and I'll quickly look at it. You can abuse me, and then I'll try and get on with the rest of my day. The important thing is, hopefully you've enjoyed yourselves. I have. Thank you, guys. Really, really appreciate you both joining. Great heated debate from the boys, we got there. I'm still feeling sorry for Dyche and Rob Edwards a little bit as well. I'll be honest. Anyway. Thanks a lot. Check out the first episode from this week and the whole back catalogue. We've actually done a podcast talking about Pep and Fergie and who was better. And that's a really good podcast. And all the podcasts are very, very evergreen. So go check them out. There's Pyramids of Allcott from last week as well. Thank you so much. Speak soon.